Okay, so here we have the Pan Manager login window for an Egenera pan system. So I'll just quickly log in. When you first log in, it takes you to what's called a dashboard. So here you can see all the servers that are up and running. So for example, we have a couple of servers in the DWL pan that's booted, and in some other LPANs, and you can by quickly clicking these icons you can reboot, shut down, open a console window, or get the virtual VGA or graphical console if it's a Windows system. You can see all the resources that this particular pan system has, such as all the blades, any pool resources, disks, tapes, DVD drives and networking. It also lists all the LPANs here as well. So in this particular system we have an LPAN called Demo. If we click here, we can see we have 19 physical blades, or 19 blades, 6 disks in this LPAN, 2 virtual switches, no tape drives, and two disks assigned into our pool, into our demo pool. So what we'll do first is we'll go through the process of creating a server. So if I click on the P servers here, it takes me to a window where I've got the facility to create, delete various servers. So if I click on create, it asks me for the name of the server I want to create. In this case I'll call it Demo 1. Once you've created the P server or the server, it takes you to the window for that server. So here I can assign the primary blade, where I can select a pool, either from the global pool or from a local pool called example, or I can select a physical blade. In this case I'll pick blade in slot 1. I can also assign a failover blade. Again, I can specify a specific blade, or I can specify something from the pool. In this case I'll pick a blade out of the example pool. And there's 2 blades available in this particular pool. Next you assign a disk. So here I'll pick the first disk available, which is LUN2, and it will assign it as target 0, LUN 0 from the operating system perspective when the server boots. If I had SCSI tapes on this particular system, I could add those here as well. It's basically the same concept as adding a disk drive. Next I do the networking, so I'll assign virtual Ethernet interface 0, or I could pick whichever interface number I wanted, and I'll attach it to a virtual switch called SW01, which is uplinked to the outside world, so this blade will be able to talk to systems out on the external network, as well as talking to other systems across our converged fabric inside this particular pan system. Next I'll just set it to use the default boot image, which is the Egenera virtual boot service. So there, with a couple of clicks we've now created a server. So if I click boot, the system will now start to boot, and that's it. Very simple. So what I'll do while that system's booting is I'll just quickly open a window so we can log into the control blade or the pan system, put the pan CLI. Oh, just a second. Sorry about that, my VPN link was down. So there we log into the blade system, and here I've got a basic shell script called demo2.sh. So what this does basically is using the command line interface of Pan Manager, it will create a server called demo2. It will assign blade number 9 to this particular server. It will set the boot image to be the default. It will assign the failover pool example. LUN56 from the SAN will be assigned to this particular server, and it will attach virtual Ethernet interface 0 onto virtual switch SW01. So if I just go there it's created the server and it's assigned a MAC address automatically for this server. You can specify MAC addresses manually if you wish. So if we go back to the graphical interface now, we can see it's created here a server called Demo2. It's used where it's assigned pblade 9. It's using the example pool, LUN56 out from our SAN, and it's created our virtual Ethernet interface. So I'll boot this server up as well. One other thing is, as well as having the command line interface to PAN, PAMager has a facility called the PAN API, where you can create your own specific applications that can make calls into PAMager to create whatever you need to. So, for example, you could have some sort of ordering system where you, if you're a service provider, you could put in an order for a 3-tier architecture, web servers, application servers, database servers. Put all the ordering online. Once you get the purchase order from the customer, you could hit submit and build out the environment and have it fully integrated into PAN. So it's very powerful and it gives you a lot of flexibility. So if we go back to our first server that we built from using the GUI, it should have booted by now. So if I click here on the console, we can see the server's booted up. I already installed the operating system on this particular LUN, so all I had to do was just add it to a specific server. Which brings me on to another point. You could have golden images out on the SAN, and you could clone those images to rapidly deploy servers. So basically you clone an OS image on the SAN, deploy it to the disk you want to use, and then assign that disk to a server. Or you could use various rapid deployment tools such as Alteris, or you could just use traditional Kickstart or AutoYast to build servers. There's a number of ways you can deploy the servers. So here we can see the server's booted, and it's just as we would expect. Also, it's not just a case of you build your server and away you go. Over time, you need to make changes to your system, add more disks, for example. It's very easy. You would just basically click on Add Disk. You'd select the disk you want to assign, and the target number. In this case, it will be assigned as Target 1 LUN 0. And that disk is now assigned. If I go back to my console, you actually see the messages here, where you can see the disk was actually assigned. So if I do fdisk -L, for example, here we can see I've got SDA, which is my operating system disk, and SDB, which I can then use for whatever I need to. And it's just as easy to remove the disks. So there we can see the disk gone. Very easy. It's the same idea with network interface as well. If you need to add a network interface on the fly, you assign it the virtual Ethernet interface number, the switch you want to connect to, and that's it. And now I just use the appropriate commands to configure the interface with an IP address, and it can talk across that converged fabric connection to servers on that particular virtual switch, or if that virtual switch is uplinked to the outside world, it can talk to servers out there. And the server we built from the command line has booted now. So again, this was a Windows server where the OS image was already installed on the LUN I used. If I click here, as you can see, we've now got a Windows server booted. I can just log in as you would on any traditional system.